My top five characters in Kagurabachi, plus some honorable mentions because I'm the most indecisive person ever. Let's get into it. And also, read Kagurabachi. All right, first of all, shout out to Togue who asked me about this today. And it's no surprise that Togue is an anagram for goat because you are one, my friend. Thank you so much. And like I mentioned, we got some honorable mentions here because I'm very indecisive. And to start that off, I'm going to say the Masumi as a collective are some of my favorites. I think they're just the coolest ninjas, right? We got Mini Levi here, and I just love the way that they specifically trained and developed to be able to work in tandem with the blind samurai Sombra, right? They're the only ones who can fight with him for that. So I love that, and I do hope we get to find out some more about them. I will say that, not in a bad way, but they're pretty shallow right now, which is why they didn't actually make the list, but they're just so cool that they made the honorable mentions list. Next honorable mention is Yori, one of the most well fleshed out characters we have in the series so far. So she almost made my top five, but she just got edged out by a few characters we've spent a little more time with. But I love what Hokazono's doing with her, and I hope that she becomes part of the mainstay for the series. Next honorable mention is Sojo, one of my first goats, and that's because he's part of the reason I originally fell in love with Kagurabachi. I thought he was such an excellent villain with so much aura and so many amazing moments in that first arc. So yeah, I'm still sad he's gone. And then my final honorable mention is none other than Mr. Proceed himself, just somebody who I thought was another really well-rounded villain. I loved his motivations. I loved his entire narrative that we got to see, and kind of like the redemption he had in a way at the end, and of course just the aura and the way he wielded that sorcery was so cool. Then to kick off our top five, I've got Hakuri, and this was really tough. Basically all of the honorable mentions and him were in contention for this fifth spot, but I gotta give it to him because one, the storehouse ability is amazing, but two, I love the way he's being set up to, launch forward in this series. Something we've talked about a lot in the other Kagurabachi videos, but the way we have Chihiro, Hakuri, and now Yori potentially having to deal with the sins of the past, the sins of their fathers, very specifically, right? I really love the way that we're going to get to explore those things via these characters, and so that's why he kind of edged out some of those side characters a little bit more, because I'm expecting a bit more depth. And I loved his backstory and kind of what had him branch away from his family and the family business. Excited to see where we go from here, assuming he doesn't have too much brain damage. Then coming in at number 4, we've got our MC Chiro, and this one pretty much speaks for itself, I think. Kind of the same reasons as Hakuri, but the reason he's not higher per se is because I just don't think he's gotten the most development yet of the cast, which makes sense. He's the MC. That's gonna be more of a slow burn. But I do already like the depth we've gotten to him, and that he's not just stereotypical shonen revenge shonen protagonist where it's just like all cold, all aura farm the whole time. We do get that a lot, but he's also got that heart, and we see it in the way he deals with Char or Iori, and I'm really excited to see kind of that side of him explored more, and just the way that war and revenge makes you into a monster and how he's going to deal with that. Next up in the number 3 spot, I've got my first goat, Sheba. Now, you might be saying, wait, how can he be your goat if he's in third place? And just don't try and make it make sense, okay? He's the goat because he's got so much aura. He's such a badass with these teleportations. He's one of, if not the strongest sorcerer, out there right now. So I think he's awesome, and I do think he will become a more three-dimensional character with depth. I mean, I do think it's there. We just haven't explored it yet, right? So that's why he's not a little bit higher on the list. Next up, coming in at that number 2 spot, we've got Sombra, and this should be no surprise. I got to imagine that Sombra is at the top of everyone's favorite character list right now because he's one of the strongest in the entire manga. He's one of the coolest in the entire manga, and he's one of the best well-written in the entire manga. Now, that's obviously a product of the story shining a spotlight on him, and I get that, but that's why he's high right now, because he's one of the best or the most three-dimensional of everyone, on top of being a badass. And then, of course, coming in at that number 1 spot, I got Hirohiko, Double H. I just love him as a villain so much. I got a soft spot for a well-written villain. That's why I'm so sad that Sojo exited the story, but Double H has filled those shoes and then some. I love him as the perfect foil to Chihiro, and I can't wait to see that hopefully develop in that parallel into the future. I don't think he's gone yet. I think we're good. But yeah, he's got the same trifecta that Sombra does. You know, he's incredibly strong, incredibly badass, and has a compelling backstory. Well written, three-dimensional. So yeah, need I say more? Now, y'all be sure to drop your top fives down in the comments as well, because I want to see them. And while we're on this Kagurabachi train, I also got a couple of other questions, starting with this one from Lord Abraxas, who said that I am a firm believer that all of the Blade's powers are based on memories Kunishige had with his wife or Chihiro. So, bird watching for Tobamune, a geisha show for Kumiyori, getting caught in a storm for Cloud Gouger, and then walking through a garden for the Sinuchi. If that's the case, what memories do you think the other two might be based on? And that is a really cool theory that I hadn't heard yet, but I could totally see it making sense, because we know that he's the one that made all of the Enchanted Blades, right? And he picked the people to wield them. So it could certainly be that he, you know, he made all of them in his own image in a way, right? So that again, that's a cool idea I hadn't thought of, and it would make a lot of sense for the goldfish for Inten, right? So what as to what the other two would be, it would be this guy's Enchanted Blade and her Enchanted Blade, right? Everybody talks about this guy looking like a sushi chef. Good lord. So following this line of thought, this could be like maybe an amazing meal he had on a date with his wife at some point or something. So I could totally see that. But then for her, I have no idea. She for some reason gives me like butterfly vibes. I don't know if it's those like patterns, whatever this is. Like, who knows if that's has anything to do with a butterfly, but that's what it makes me think of. So maybe this could be like, I mean, I guess you already said the garden for the Sinuchi, but like maybe like a similar like outdoor experience where they, you know, were in nature and saw the animals. So like maybe the Sinuchi and her blade are like kind of hand in hand or something. I don't know, but that's the vibe I get from her. And then finally, David asked me if I thought that everyone in the series would get a benefit from getting an Enchanted Blade, because obviously they are weapons of mass destruction, but he points out somebody like Hakari or Sheba already has a lot of utility with their sorcery. So yeah, they might get more, you know, powerful in a way, but they might lose a lot of utility. And I'm 100% with you. In fact, in a video, I don't even remember when it was, maybe on the last chapter, maybe on 2 chapters ago, somebody brought up this idea of Hakari getting an Enchanted Blade, and I actually wouldn't want that to happen, because I think it's cooler to have these interesting characters that are aside from the main power system, if you will. I mean, I guess sorcery would be the main power system, but you get it. So personally, yeah, like I hope Hakari never gets one. I hope Sheba never gets one. I hope Hayuki, is that how you say it? I hope she never gets one, because I think it's really cool that they all have their own thing. Anyways, y'all, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for the support and for the Kagurabachi questions. We're on a little bit of a Kagura break right now, so it's nice to still kind of get our fix in. So be sure to let me know your 5 favorite characters. Also, let me know y'all's ideas for those other 2 Enchanted Blades. And finally, if you're not in the Discord, come join, come talk Kagurabachi with us there. But as always, y'all, thanks for watching.